I want you to meet a new friend from Rockford, Illinois. Keith, meet Michael McDermott.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Hey, doing great.
Good. Welcome to the program. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning here at Life FM.
Well, great. It's good to be here this morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, good. Well, been in Branson since July.
Yeah, things have kind of transitioned for my life after 50 years in Northern Illinois and 30 plus years full and part-time ministry in that area. I've always wanted to live in the Branson area. We've always vacationed here for years. And so things worked themselves out to where it was a good opportunity for me to move here. And since July, it's been a great time. I've met a lot of great people, and I appreciate this opportunity to come and talk to you about some new books that I have, specifically one, Successfully Single.
I understand this is your fourth book, actually. You had 3 devotionals?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Keeping It Real series, volumes 1, 2, and 3. Which are in print and also available on Amazon as ebooks. And the new book, Successfully Single, is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in ebook form and also on my website in print form. Those are all available. Because the title of the book might be a little misleading. By successfully single, I think that successful relationships are made up by people who are successfully single. So many times today people look for other people to make them happy, but in reality successful relationships are made up by people who are successfully single. So even though I'm a single person, a single parent, have been a single parent, the book Successfully Single, the focus is on building better relationships in general. So the title may be a little misleading, but Successfully Single is really, even though it addresses a lot of single issues, finding yourself single after being in a marriage or relationship, raising children by yourself, the prospect of having to date or look for another relationship, all those things, we talk about those briefly, but the gist of the book, the bulk of the book talks about building better relationships. And I just really want to emphasize that again, that successful relationships are made up of successfully single people who join themselves together. So I see so many times that there are generational habits and things that are just reoccurring relationship after relationship after relationship. And the book and our seminar that's coming up this Saturday, we're trying to stop that cycle, to get people to stop making the same mistakes and finding themselves in bad situations in relationships. And so Successfully Single is just addressing a lot of relationship issues, and I would like to talk about that.
We'll talk about some of those, and I want to ask you a question to get an answer in a little while, because we want to expand on it. But what are some of the big mistakes that you do cover in the book? But first of all, you did mention a second ago about the seminar coming up, and I want to focus in on the time, the place, your website, and how we get plugged in.
Okay. This seminar is called Successfully Single, Building Better Relationships. And it's going to be this Saturday, October 15th, right here in Branson, starting at 10:30 a.m. We're going to go till 2 p.m. and you can register at the door, and it's going to be at the Nightlight, 3044 Shepherd of the Hills Expressway, right here in Branson. Their phone is 417-593-3451.
Is this something I need to make reservations for, or just show up for, or what?
Well, if you'd like to, you can register on my website at keepingitreal.michaelmcdermott.com, or you can just register at the door. Either is fine. We're asking for a $20 registration fee at the door, and that will include a lunch, a light lunch.
Keeping It Real, michaelmcdermott.com website?
Yeah, actually there's no G, and that's
okay.
Having been raised in kind of an urban inner city town, Keeping It Real kind of connects me with a broader audience. So it's Keeping It Real, michaelmcdermott.com.
All right, we're going to put a link on our KLFCradio.com website so that folks can find you easier, and we'll do that. Well, We're going to look at some of those things that you mentioned in the book and some of the mistakes we all make, Charlie, in relationships, and how we can be successfully single, even if we're in a relationship, because what you're saying, I think, is if you're healthy as a single, you can bring that to a relationship. Is that right?
I really believe that, yes. I've always heard that it takes, two people 50% to come together to make a whole. And in reality, I think it takes 100% and 100% to make 100%. And I believe that relationships are the only place where that mathematical rule doesn't apply, where 100% and 100% equal 100%, make a whole. I think it's so important that we don't rely on other people, that we don't rely on things to make us happy. And in the seminar and in my personal life, I understand that at the center, at the core of everything is Jesus Christ, who made the earth and all the fullness and everything it contains. So when we find our happiness and our contentment and our completion in Him, then the other benefits and the fruits will emanate and radiate from that central relationship. And then we can become a totally whole person. And it doesn't matter, because there are people who are single because of choice. There are people who are single because they had no choice in the situation. There are people who are single because of death. There's a lot of different scenarios, but we all find ourselves facing one central theme and question. We have to address our relationship with the God who created us, and then also we have to learn how to interact with people around us. So relationships, or even go beyond romance and those kind of things, there are working relationships, there are parent-teacher relationships, there are neighbor relationships. We cannot escape the fact that we're in relationships no matter where we're at or what we do. So the better we get at relationships, the better we can navigate our way through lives and dealing with other people. I think sometimes that as Christians we lose sight of the fact that we not only have a responsibility and accountability to God in a relationship, but He's also called us as His ambassadors to relate with other people and share with them the good news. And if we're not happy, if we're not complete, and if we're not content, we can't really be good messengers of what completeness and wholeness is if we're not complete and whole.
We're going to send people to our website, KLFCradio.com, where we'll have a link on our website to this. And what's been so great over the last week, you can go to our Good Morning Ozarks part of the website. You'll see a webcast, and later on today, at least for a couple of weeks, you'll be able to hear this portion of the interview podcast on KLFCradio.com.
You can download it or send it to a friend, and if you missed some of the interview in the last half hour, or you missed some of Mike, you can download it, send it to a friend, or review it yourself.
And you can find out more about the book and information on the seminar by calling him after you see his website. But I would like to fold the book up for just a moment and go back in your own life for a little bit. Let's go back and walk through this time in your life. You've said a couple of things that I think I picked up on it. You must be in your 50s, because you said 50 years, and he wouldn't have said that.
No, he wouldn't have said
that. So you got to be 50s. So tell me the beginning.
I was raised in a Christian home. We went to church, pretty much every Sunday. My grandfather was an Assembly of God minister for 40 years plus, so that's kind of my upbringing. I was brought up in non-denominational churches, but even being brought up in church, I did not understand about commitments and committing my life wholly to Him. So I kind of had a relationship from a distance with Him, and when I was 20 years old, I was exposed to a teacher, Dale Krall, who I think now is still the chaplain at Southern Illinois University. But he had a class there in Rockford for college and career students, and that's where I was at that time in life. And he started taking me deeper into the committed relationship in life with Jesus Christ. And my high school years, I didn't understand commitment, so I thought that basically relationship meant how you felt. And so when I didn't feel good, I thought, well, my relationship was not good. And when I felt good, so at 20, then I understood that relationship was more than just feeling. and commitment. So I guess that's what really started me. And when I was 18 years old, I felt a call, a tug into ministry, and because I passionately love people, and the Lord began to open doors for me when I was 19, 20 years old to work with different youth groups on a part-time basis, and I became a youth leader. And then when I was 19, I started attending Christian Life School of the Bible there in Rockford, which was a Bible college. And then a year later, I started taking correspondence courses through Berean Bible College, preparing myself for full-time ministry. After a lot of part-time positions, in 1987, I was offered a full-time position as a pastor's assistant. I was in charge of youth, young marrieds, just a lot of different things. So God gave me a lot of experience during that process. And then in 1992, we actually pioneered a new church there in Rockford called First Love Christian Center. So kind of maybe digressing a little bit, back in the earlier years of ministry, there were several people who were in my youth group who I'm still friends with today that are actually pastoring and working in leadership positions in church. So I just think that God has given me a great insight into relationships. And I was not always, as I think we all are, we all undergo some degree of change when Christ comes in, because, how could we accept Christ in our flesh, which is imperfect, and not go through some type of transition or change? If we could be good enough on our own, then Jesus would not have had to die for us. Mm-hmm. So I'm always eternally grateful that while I was yet a sinner, that he died for me.
Our guest today has been Michael McDermott, the book Successfully Single. You can go to our website, KLFCradio.com, and we'll direct you to Keeping It Real. Keeping it.
Not with a G, but Keeping It Real. MichaelMcDermott.com.
And his latest book, Successfully Single, written in kind of a workbook format for you. You can find out about that. Also, tell us one more time about that seminar.
It's coming up this Saturday here in Branson, and it's going to start at 10:30. Registration will start around 10. It's going to go to 2 o'clock. It's Successfully Single, Building Better Relationships seminar. And I just would like to encourage anybody that can to come out. It's going to be held at the Shepherd of the Hills Expressway 3044 at, the Victorian Village. It's called the Nightlight. Mm-hmm. And I would just like to say a special thanks to Buster and Juliet Prine for opening the facility there. And thank you folks for having me this morning. God bless you. I appreciate your ministry and your work.
Now, you don't have to be single to go. You can go as a couple even, because what you're talking about is a relationship with Jesus, to be standing alone and successfully single. But then there may be a relationship that you're involved in, and you both and the couple can go as well, right?
Most definitely, Keith. I would encourage people, and the topics we're going to talk about, just three quick sessions, will be 8 concepts that create change. The second one will be building better relationships, and that affects us all, no matter what marital state or relationship state you might find yourself in. And then thirdly, making bitter better. I like the verse, and I believe it's in Hebrews, that says, let no root of bitterness spring up in you, because by that one root many people, generations, have been defiled because of one person refusing to change and deal with an anger or bitterness issue.
And I think you'll find Buster over at Nightlights is somehow related to Barbara Fairchild.
First cousin.
There you go.
Hey, Michael, thank you very much for being with us.
Well, thank you. God bless you guys.
God bless you. We appreciate it. Check the podcast out, and you can find out what Michael had to say if you're just joining us.